So have you just been to a Sheraton Flex timeshare presentation? Maybe you're getting ready to go, or maybe you're already an owner and you want to know what Sheraton Flex is all about? Well, be sure to stick around. I'm going to talk about it right after this. Hello and welcome to Destination Timeshare. I'm Jeremy and we're going to jump right into this. We're going to talk about what is Sheraton Flex. You might have been to a timeshare presentation at a Sheraton Vacation Club Vistana property. Maybe you're a little bit confused because a lot of information gets thrown at you during those owner updates or sales presentations by the salespeople. They like to make it confusing. They like to keep it kind of vague, so you don't really know what's going on, and it certainly is pretty expensive. But what exactly is Sheraton Flex? Well, just kind of at a high level, what it is a land trust that is recorded and of record in Orange County, Florida. So what Vistana did, what Sheraton Vacation Club did, was they took a whole bunch of deeds to individual timeshare weeks and they conveyed them or deeded them over to this trust that is on record in Orange County, Florida. Those deeds make up a number of points each that when combined, they have this big pool of weeks inventory in this trust worth a certain number of points, and then essentially they sell those points out to buyers. So what exactly do you get by owning these points in Sheraton Flex? Well, you can actually buy points in 1,000 point increments, or you can kind of buy ones that are more tailored towards how weeks are actually booked. So you might be able to buy 37,000 points, 81,000 points, 148,100 points. So those amounts are actually a little bit more geared towards being able to book 7-night stays, kind of in standard accommodations in places like Hawaii, Cancun, Orlando, Colorado. So you can kind of buy whatever you need, whether it be 50,000 points, or if you know you're going to stay in a 2-bedroom every year in Orlando, maybe you want to buy 81,000 points instead. So what resorts are actually in Sheraton Flex? Well, I actually have a list of them here. The first one here is Sheraton Vistana Resort in Orlando. Sheraton Vistana Villages, also in Orlando, kind of sister resorts. We've been to both of those. If you want to see videos about those, check on the link right up here. I'll put a link to those videos up there. We also have Vistana Beach Club, that's in Jensen Beach, Florida. Been there too. Sheraton Desert Oasis, great resort in Scottsdale, Arizona. Sheraton Broadway Plantation in Myrtle Beach. Sheraton Steamboat Springs, Sheraton Mountain Vista, and Sheraton Lakeside Terrace. They're in Colorado. And then we also have the newest kind of addition is Sheraton Kauai Resort Villas on the island of Kauai in Hawaii. Now one of them you might be wondering is not included here, and that is Sheraton PGA Vacation Resort. Not exactly sure why it's not included. I was there at one point not too long ago and I did ask them and they said simply because there's really no amenities there. There's no fitness center, simply just a pool, a few buildings. The resort was never completely built out. So they said that they didn't want to add that to the collection, to Sheraton Flex, just because people might book into there thinking, hey, it's this great resort, great pools, huge resort, lots of amenities, lots of facilities, and it just isn't that. So that was the explanation given to me. Not really sure how true that is, but that's what I heard. So exactly how does this work now? You might be wondering, how do I make reservations? I have 50,000 points, I have 81,000 points. What do I need to do with those? How do I make reservations? So you essentially own what they call home options. You might hear the term home options, flex options, and star options. They can kind of be used interchangeably somewhat, but there is some distinctions. Home options and flex options are the same thing. There's really no such thing as flex options. They do call them home options. So from 12 to 8 months out in advance of when you want to check in, you can use your home options, that's actually what you own, to make a reservation at one of those 9 resorts that I mentioned earlier. Using your home options to essentially make a reservation at your home resorts. Unlike a traditional timeshare week where you have one home resort with Sheraton Flex, you actually have 9 home resorts. Now, what's actually available to you in those home resorts might be somewhat limited because essentially the only thing that's available to you is what Vistana and Sheraton Vacation Club have actually conveyed into the Flex Trust. So just keep that in mind. There might be limited inventory in some places, like maybe Vistana Beach Club, but a lot of inventory available at places like maybe Sheraton Vistana Resort or some of those resorts in Colorado. Now, within that 8 to 12 month period ahead of when you want to check in, you can only reserve a stay for up to 14 nights. So keep that in mind. Not too big of an issue for most people. Many people might be going for a few days, maybe a weekend, or maybe only for a week. You can also only have 3 concurrent reservations at any given time per vacation ownership interest that you own. So that's another thing to make sure you're aware of. If you try and make 4 or 5 reservations, the system likely will not let you. Now, something else to keep in mind, this is where we're going to kind of jump into what StarOptions are a little bit. When it comes to banking and borrowing, you technically cannot bank or borrow home options. So the actual points that you own, the home options, cannot be banked or borrowed. What you can do instead is you can bank what they call StarOptions. And StarOptions are essentially the same as home options. It's just those are used to make a reservation within 8 months of check-in at any of the 23 Vistana, whether they be Sheraton Vacation Club or Westin Vacation Club resorts. There's a couple of that don't have the Sheraton or Westin name. There's Vistana Beach Club and Harborside Resort at Atlantis. Though those 23 resorts, like I said, you can book those within 8 months of check-in. But when it comes to banking or borrowing, you can actually bank StarOptions, kind of the same as your home options. But when you do bank them, those points are good through December 31st of 2 years out from the use year of those points. So maybe next year you're banking 2022 points. Those will actually be good until December 31st, 2024. If you want to borrow StarOptions, you can do that too. Maybe you want to borrow some to make a reservation with your current year points. You can do that. You do have to prepay, though, the maintenance fees associated with those points that you're borrowing. And also keep in mind, when you do that, you can only make a reservation, because now you're using StarOptions. You can only make a reservation 8 months at most from check-in. So even if you're combining those with home options from this year and StarOptions maybe from next year, you're borrowing them in advance, you have to be making your reservation no more than 8 months from check-in. Another option here is the ability to convert to Bonvoy points. They really like to talk this up in the sales presentation like it's the greatest thing. And it does provide some additional flexibility in your use of the timeshare that you own, the home options that you own. Bonvoy is essentially Marriott Hotels. It's their loyalty program. And the conversion ratio here is actually 1 to 1.56. So one home option equals 1.56 Bonvoy points. So if you have 100,000 home options, you can convert that potentially in any increment up to a total of 156,000 Bonvoy points. Keep in mind, this might not be the best use of points because those maintenance fees are pretty high, and some Marriott hotel properties charge up to 60 or 80,000 points per night. So you can see here, you're not going to get a whole lot of nights out of the maintenance fees you're paying on those home options. Next up here is the ability to trade your home options within Interval International, kind of the external exchange company, to be able to trade into other timeshare properties kind of outside of the Vistana system. But you can in fact trade into other Vistana, whether it be Westin Vacation Club, Sheraton Vacation Club properties, through Interval International. So that is a good option there. There is a chart, a trade demand and unit size chart that kind of provides some information on what the conversion ratio is, and I have it right here in front of me here. If you want to stay in a studio, kind of peak season, it's going to cost you 60,000 home options. If you want to stay in a 3-bedroom in what is essentially peak season, this is the highest season, doesn't matter where it is, whether it's high season in Orlando or high season in Hawaii, it would be 175,000 points. Now, if you want low season in a 2-bedroom, maybe it's only going to cost you 37,000 points. So something to kind of keep in mind here when you're looking to book with home options, compare the costs with home options and trading through Interval International. And I'm going to do another video in the future about how to stretch your home options to get the most value out of them, whether it be through Interval International or other methods. And when that video is available, I will put a link to it right up here. One thing I do want to mention here is resale restrictions. You might not be thinking about this now, but it is something that's important to know. If at some point in time you decide you don't want this Sheraton Flex, these home options anymore, what does that mean? What do you do? How do you get rid of them? And the first thing to know about is right of first refusal. When you go to sell these to somebody else, you are going to be under a restriction where you need to notify Vistana, hey, I'm going to sell these for X, and they're going to say, hey, we want to buy them, instead of you being able to sell them to that new buyer that you found. So keep that in mind. There is right of first refusal. And another big thing to know about is these home options, Sheraton Flex, does not really have any resale value. So you're probably going to have to be willing to give this timeshare away, these home options that you bought within Sheraton Flex, if you no longer want or need them. So keep that in mind with what you might be considering paying, or maybe what you've already paid. For the most part, if you try to get rid of them, you're likely going to have to give them away. So there you have it, all about Sheraton Flex from Vistana. Are you thinking of buying Sheraton Flex? Maybe you're already an owner. Do you have any questions? Maybe something that I can answer that I did not cover in today's video? Leave those questions down in the comments below. And for more videos all about timeshare, check out the description box below. I have tons of them all across the channel. Villa tours, resort reviews, resort tours, timeshare tips, industry news, and commentary as well. And if you want to see another video about a Sheraton Vacation Club property, check out this one right up here in YouTube. They think you'll like that one down there. Be sure to subscribe. You can do so by clicking on my picture right here. Hit that notification bell. And until next time, remember, the best destination is always a timeshare.